Buddhism is one of the oldest and most widespread religions in the world, founded by Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha, more than 2,500 years ago in India. The Buddha was a prince who renounced his life of luxury and dedicated himself to seeking truth and liberation from suffering. After years of meditation and asceticism, he attained enlightenment and became a spiritual teacher who shared his teachings with his disciples. The core of his doctrine is the Four Noble Truths, which reveal the nature of suffering, its cause, its end, and the path to achieve it. These truths are the basis of Buddhist practice and ethics, and the goal of anyone who aspires to enlightenment. First Noble Truth, Suffering, Dukkha. The first noble truth is the truth of suffering, or dukkha in Sanskrit. This truth affirms that all existence is marked by suffering, dissatisfaction, imperfection, and impermanence. Suffering doesn't refer only to physical or emotional pain, but also to the anguish, fear, frustration, boredom, desire, attachment, ignorance, and illusion that we experience throughout our lives. Suffering is inherent to the human condition and also to all sentient beings that inhabit samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth to which we are subjected by karma, the law of cause and effect that determines our destiny according to our actions. Buddha. Friends, this is the noble truth of suffering. Birth is suffering, aging is suffering, illness is suffering, death is suffering. Union with what is displeasing is suffering, separation from what is pleasing is suffering, not to get what one wants is suffering. In brief, the five aggregates of existence are suffering. Disciple. Master, what are the five aggregates of existence? Buddha. They are the five categories that make up our personality and our experience. Form, which is the physical body. Sensation, which is the perception of the senses. Perception, which is the recognition of objects. Mental formation, which are thoughts, emotions, and volitions. And consciousness, which is the faculty of knowing. These five aggregates are impermanent, changing, and dependent on conditions, and do not have a permanent essence or self. Therefore, clinging to them as if they were real or lasting is a source of suffering. Disciple. Master, how can we free ourselves from suffering? Buddha. To free ourselves from suffering, we must understand its cause, its end, and the path that leads to its end. These are the other three noble truths that I'm going to teach you. Second noble truth, the cause of suffering, samadaya. The second noble truth is the truth of the cause of suffering, or samadaya in Sanskrit. This truth explains that suffering has its origin in desire, craving, thirst, or the longing to possess, enjoy, or be something. Desire is the engine that drives us to act, but also the one that binds us to samsara and karma. Desire arises from ignorance, which is the lack of understanding of reality as it is, and from illusion, which is the projection of our concepts, opinions, and prejudices onto reality. Desire makes us believe that we can find happiness in external things that are impermanent and dependent, and makes us suffer when we don't obtain them, when we lose them, or when they disappoint us. Buddha. Friends, this is the noble truth of the cause of suffering. It is the craving that leads to renewed existence, accompanied by delight and lust, seeking delight here and there. That is, craving for sensual pleasures, craving for existence, and craving for non-existence. This craving produces rebirth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. It is the origin of suffering. Disciple. Master, what are sensual pleasures, existence, and non-existence? Buddha. These are the three forms of desire that enslave us to samsara. Sensual pleasures are those we seek through the five senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. These pleasures are ephemeral, insatiable, and deceptive, and make us attached to the objects, people, and situations that produce them. Existence is the desire to keep living, to prolong our life, to create an identity, to strengthen our ego, to accumulate wealth, honors, and power. This desire makes us attached to form, sensation, perception, mental formation, and consciousness, which are the five aggregates of existence. Non-existence is the desire to escape from suffering, to annihilate our existence, to deny our responsibility, to reject reality. This desire makes us attached to the idea of nothingness, emptiness, extinction, which are also forms of illusion. Disciple. Master, how can we eliminate desire? Buddha. To eliminate desire, we must understand the end of suffering and the path that leads to its end. These are the other two noble truths that I'm going to teach you. Third noble truth, the cessation of suffering, Nirodha. This is the third noble truth of the cessation of suffering. It is the abandonment and extinction of desire, attachment, and liberation from it, detachment and renunciation of it. This is the end of suffering. Disciple. Master, what is the abandonment and extinction of desire? Buddha. It is the state of mind that clings to nothing, identifies with nothing, projects onto nothing, is deluded by nothing. It is the state of mind that sees things as they are, that understands the impermanence, non-self, and dependence of everything. It is the state of mind that is free from greed, hatred, and ignorance, which are the three roots of evil. It is the state of mind that is full of generosity, kindness, and wisdom, which are the three roots of good. It is the state of mind that is at peace, in harmony, and in balance, that is not disturbed or altered by anything. It is the state of mind that is Nirvana, the cessation of suffering. Disciple. Master, what is Nirvana? Buddha. Nirvana is the supreme state of happiness that transcends the cycle of birth and death, that doesn't depend on any condition, that has no limit, that has no opposite. Nirvana is the state of enlightenment that is achieved when one realizes the ultimate truth, that is expressed with emptiness, that is experienced with non-duality, that is manifested with compassion. Nirvana is the state of the Buddha, who is the awakened being, who sees things as they are, who teaches the path to others, who benefits all beings. Fourth noble truth, the path to the cessation of suffering. This is the fourth noble truth of the path that leads to the extinction of suffering. It is the noble eightfold path, which consists of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. This is the path that leads to the end of suffering. Disciple. Master, what is right view? Buddha. Right view is the understanding of the Four Noble Truths, which are the truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the cessation of suffering, and the truth of the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. Right view is the understanding of reality as it is, which is based on the law of causality, which is explained with the 12 links of dependent origination, which is summarized with the 3 marks of existence: impermanence, non-self, and suffering. Right view is the understanding of the ultimate truth, which is revealed with wisdom, which is expressed with emptiness, which is experienced with non-duality, which is manifested with compassion. Right view is the first aspect of the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the basis of wisdom, which is the foundation of practice, which is the beginning of the path. Disciple. Master, what is right intention? Buddha. Right intention is the motivation of the mind that is oriented towards good, that moves away from evil, that purifies itself of impurities. Right intention is the renunciation of desire, goodwill towards beings, compassion for suffering. Right intention is the aspiration to nirvana, trust in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, dedication to the benefit of all beings. Right intention is the second aspect of the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the complement of right view, which is the origin of morality, which is the purpose of the path. To illustrate these truths, we will tell the story of a young man living in the 20th century who feels dissatisfied with his life. His name is Juan and he is 25 years old. Juan works as a programmer in a technology company and earns a good salary. However, Juan is not happy. He feels stressed, bored, and empty. His job requires many hours and generates a lot of pressure. His boss is demanding and authoritarian, and his colleagues are competitive and selfish. Juan doesn't have time or desire to do other activities that he likes or that relax him. His life is reduced to working, eating, sleeping, and watching television or surfing the internet. Juan doesn't have true friends, a partner, or close family. He feels alone and isolated. Juan also doesn't have a clear vision of his future or a purpose or meaning in his life. He wonders if it's worth continuing to live like this or if there's something more. Juan, what's the meaning of my life? Why do I work so hard if I'm not happy? What's after death? Does God exist or is there any truth? Is there any way to escape this suffering? One day, Juan decides to take a trip to India hoping to find answers to his questions. There, he meets a Buddhist monk who tells him about the Four Noble Truths. The monk's name is Ananda, and he is a disciple of the Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism. Ananda invites him to accompany him to the monastery where he lives and to learn more about Buddhism. Ananda. Hello, friend. My name is Ananda and I'm a Buddhist monk. I've seen that you're interested in Buddhism. Would you like to come with me to the monastery where I live and learn more about this religion and philosophy? Juan. Hello, Ananda. My name is Juan and I'm from Argentina. Yes, I'd love to go with you to the monastery and learn more about Buddhism. I'm looking for answers to my existential questions and I think Buddhism can help me. Ananda. I'm glad you want to learn. Buddhism is a way of life that can teach you to be happy, to free yourself from suffering, and to achieve enlightenment. Buddhism is based on the Four Noble Truths, which are the teachings of the Buddha, the founder of our religion. Do you know what the Four Noble Truths are, Juan? No, I don't know. Can you explain them to me, Ananda? Of course, I'll explain them to you. But first, you should know that Buddhism is not a dogmatic religion, but a religion based on experience and reason. I'm not asking you to believe in anything, but to prove it for yourself. Buddhism is a path of self-knowledge and transformation that requires your effort and commitment. Are you willing to follow that path, Juan? Yes, I'm willing. I want to change my life and find peace and happiness, Ananda. Very well, then I'll tell you the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth is the truth of suffering. This truth says that every living being experiences suffering, whether physical, mental, or emotional, due to the imperfection and dissatisfaction of existence. Suffering is a universal reality that no one can avoid. Suffering has many forms, such as pain, illness, old age, death, loss, fear, anguish, guilt, hatred, envy, boredom, emptiness, etc. Suffering is the fundamental problem of life and the reason why we seek a solution. Juan, I understand. It's true that we all suffer and that suffering is the biggest problem we have. I myself suffer a lot and don't know how to get out of this state, Ananda. Don't worry, there is a solution. The solution is the second noble truth, the truth of the cause of suffering. This truth says that suffering doesn't arise by chance, but has a cause, and that cause is desire, thirst, craving, greed, attachment, or ignorance. Desire is the impulse that makes us seek happiness in external things that are impermanent and changing. Desire makes us cling to what we like and reject what we don't like, thus creating an illusion of control and security. Desire makes us ignore reality as it is and makes us suffer when our expectation is not met or when we lose what we have. Desire is the root of all evil and the origin of all suffering. Want. I see. It's true that desire makes me suffer because I always want more than I have and I'm never satisfied with what I am. I desire many things like money, success, love, fame, pleasure, etc. And when I don't get them, I get frustrated and angry. And when I do get them, I'm happy but then I get bored and want more. It's an endless cycle that makes me unhappy, Ananda. That's right, Juan. Desire is the poison that poisons our life. But there is a way to eliminate desire and suffering. That is the third noble truth, the truth of the cessation of suffering. This truth says that suffering can cease if we cease desire, and to cease desire, we must free ourselves from ignorance and understand reality as it is. Reality is that everything is impermanent, insubstantial, and dependent. Nothing has its own fixed and immutable existence. Everything changes, transforms, and vanishes. Everything depends on other causes and conditions. Everything is empty of essence. If we understand this, we will stop clinging to things, identifying with them, projecting our illusions and expectations onto them. We will stop desiring what we cannot have and suffering for what we cannot avoid. We will stop being slaves to desire and will be free. That liberation is Nirvana, the state of supreme peace and happiness that transcends the cycle of birth and death. Juan. Wow. That sounds incredible. But how can I understand reality as it is? How can I free myself from desire and suffering? How can I achieve Nirvana, Ananda? That is the fourth noble truth, the truth of the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. This truth says that there is a path, a practice, a discipline that allows us to understand reality, eliminate desire and suffering, and achieve Nirvana. That path is the Noble Eightfold Path, which consists of 8 aspects: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These aspects are grouped into 3 categories: wisdom, morality, and meditation. Wisdom is the understanding of the Four Noble Truths and reality. Morality is the ethical conduct that avoids evil and promotes good. Meditation is the mental training that develops concentration, clarity, and equanimity. These 3 aspects reinforce each other and help us purify our mind, body, and heart. If we follow this path, we can achieve Nirvana and be Buddhas, awakened and compassionate beings. Juan. Thank you, Ananda, for explaining the 4 noble truths to me. You've opened my eyes to a new way of seeing life. I want to follow the Noble Eightfold Path and free myself from suffering. What should I do to start, Ananda? The first thing you should do is take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha is the teacher who teaches us the path. The Dharma is the teaching that shows us the truth. The Sangha is the community of practitioners who support and inspire us. Taking refuge means trusting them, respecting them, and following them. Then you should observe the 5 precepts, which are basic rules of Buddhist morality. These precepts are not to kill, not to steal, not to lie, not to engage in sexual misconduct, and not to consume intoxicating substances. These precepts will help you avoid evil and cultivate good. Then you should learn to meditate, which is the way to train your mind and develop mindfulness. Meditation will help you calm your mind, observe your body and sensations, understand your emotions and thoughts, and see things as they are. Finally, you should study the teachings of the Buddha, which are very broad and deep, and cover many topics and aspects of life. The teachings of the Buddha will help you expand your wisdom, resolve your doubts, and apply the Dharma to your daily life. 1. Thank you very much, Ananda, for your guidance. I will follow your advice and dedicate myself to the practice of Buddhism. I hope that someday I can achieve Nirvana and be like you and like the Buddha, Ananda. You're welcome, Juan. I'm glad you've decided to follow the path of the Buddha. I wish you much success and happiness in your practice. Remember that Nirvana is not something distant or unattainable, but it's here and now in your own mind. You just have to awaken to your true nature and you'll see that you are the Buddha. This has been the story of Ananda, who has explained to us the first noble truth, the truth of suffering, and the other 3 noble truths, which are the solution to suffering. With this story, we have completed the journey through the 4 noble truths, which are the heart of the Buddha's teaching. These truths show us the reality of life, the origin of suffering, the end of suffering, and the means to achieve it. These truths are not dogmas or beliefs, but experiences that we can verify for ourselves if we follow the path of the Buddha. These truths are not pessimistic or optimistic, but realistic and liberating. These truths are not exclusive or sectarian, but universal and compassionate. These truths are the 4 noble truths that invite us to awaken to our true nature and to live in harmony with ourselves, with others, and with the world. These truths are the Dharma, the teaching that enlightens us. These truths are the Buddha, the teacher who guides us. These truths are the Sangha, the community that accompanies us. These truths are the refuge that protects us. These truths are Nirvana, the state that liberates us. These truths are Buddhism, the religion and philosophy that inspires us. These truths are the 4 noble truths that make us Buddhas, awakened and compassionate beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings achieve Nirvana. This was Monk Wisdom. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support our work. I hope it has helped you, my friend, and good luck, companion.